Voting during a pandemic, more voters are asking for absentee or mail-in ballots, while others are wondering how safe in-person voting is. Bottom line, how do you make sure your vote gets counted? We're going to make sure that that happens. Guilford County Board of Elections Director Charlie Collicutt is with us to answer your questions. You can text us your questions. The number is 336-379-5775. Remember, this is a text-only question. All right, Charlie, we were starting to get these texts even before we got on air. This person says, am I able to vote in person this year like I've done in the past, or is all voting happening through the mail?
Yeah, we have all the types of voting available this year. Certainly there's vote by mail. That's dominating a lot of what we're talking about. But yes, we will have Election Day voting on November 3rd, and we're going to have 17 days worth of early voting starting on October 15th. So as a voter in Guilford County in North Carolina, you've got those three options.
Right. And that early voting starts October the 15th, and it runs through the weekends.
Yeah, it does. It hits every weekend in Guilford County, and it ends on Saturday, October 31st.
So you have a lot of opportunities, and you don't have to go to one specific place. You can go to any early voting spot to be able to do that.
That's correct. During early voting, you can go to any of the 25 locations that we're going to have in this county on any of those 17 days. Election Day is more specific. You've got to go to your designated polling place, but early voting, any of those sites within your own county.
All right, this second text is, I've received several pieces of mail that ask me to fill it out, send it in, and I'll get a mail-in ballot. Is this the real deal? I'm skeptical because I've received more than one.
Yeah, it is outside groups. If you read the very, very fine print, you'll see that it's not affiliated with any governmental organization. But they're not stopping. They don't know if you've already gotten one. There's so many groups doing this. They don't know if you've already turned one in. They don't know if you've thrown it away. They're just going to keep trying. I've gotten 3 or 4 to my house. So has my wife. But is it a legitimate form? It most likely is. What we're seeing is these groups are sending out the real deal form. And as long as the form is filled out completely by the voter and it's mailed back to our address, it'll say P.O. Box 3427, Greensboro, North Carolina, 27402. If that's what it says, then it is legitimate. It didn't come from us, but that's okay. The law allows other organizations to distribute completely blank forms.
I think sometimes people get mixed up and they think if they get more than one request ballot form, that it means that they're going to get more than one ballot, but they're always only going to get one ballot to actually vote with.
Right. So I wouldn't be concerned that you could get multiple ballots, because you can't. If you do the form one time, we've got it. If you fill it out 2, 3, 4 times, you're not getting those additional ballots. We will catch that. And in fact, because these groups are sending out so many of these forms, our staff has really been inundated with duplicates and triplicates, and it's had an effect on our production. So I would say that if you don't want to vote by mail and you don't want to use those forms, don't come early or come election day. If you do want to use one of those forms to request your ballot by mail, all you got to do is one. And the fact you're getting a second or a third does not mean we didn't get it. It just means that organization has no idea if you've already requested or not.
We've had a lot of folks from different counties all over North Carolina say, I did put in my request for an absentee ballot, but I've been waiting for it and it hasn't come back. And maybe some of those people are thinking, well, maybe they should do another ballot request form, but that's not necessary. Can you kind of go over the process of what happens when someone does request an absentee ballot?
Yeah, it's a process, and we're held up and by a lot of different factors, some in our control, some out of our control. I don't know how long it's taking from when a voter mails a request to when we get a request. If people are submitting on the online portal, well, there are thousands of people submitting on the online portal every day. So what our staff has to do is actually physically open up those letters, scan those documents in, do the data entry. We have kind of some redundancy built in where multiple sets of eyes review all the documents that come through. We've got to get the right ballot. We've got to stuff ballot envelopes with the ballot, label them, get them in the mail. And depending on when that comes in the day, when we finally get it from the post office, what the volume is looking like at the moment, sometimes it can happen very fast, and sometimes it can happen a little bit later. We've got day crews and night crews working around the clock to get these things out. And sometimes it's a factor of when does it hit the mail cycle.
What we're going to do is we're going to follow up in this next segment because we're getting a lot of text questions about how do I track my ballot and find out if it's even on the way to me or if it's on the way back. What is a witness, like who can be our witness? We're going to be talking about that coming up right after this break. You can continue to text us your questions, 336-379-5775.